Georgia Muslim folds tent, identified by the FBI as Coulomb Bogans of Georgia, but maintaining he is Elijah Muhammad, who had been advised by Allah to avoid the wars. This man is shown handcuffed to a federal agent after being held on bond today for failing to register for the second draft. Way back in 1931, a Georgia-born man named Coulomb Bogan met God in the streets of Detroit. More specifically, he met a gentleman who said his name was Allah, that's Farad Muhammad, and that he was the living God. Allah told Coulomb that Asiatics were Muslims and that they should cast aside their slave names and receive duly accredited monikers from Mecca, Noble Drew Ali, El Bayday, Allen Ali. What's going on, 19 Keys? It's like you ain't hearing me or something. It's like you got ears to hear, but you cannot hear. Mr. Bogan Rasoul, which also Elijah Muhammad Rasoul is what he was known as too. And last but not least, Elijah Pool Bay. But for today, Mr. Bogan Rasoul, when he is at large, teaches in a Cracker Box Mosque, which also doubles as a University of Islam. In Washington, he claims some 10,000 disciples who have cast off their slave names to call themselves things like Ali X or Wilbur Bay. X and Bay apparently are the only available surnames. They was trying to X out Ali and Bay literally, brothers and sisters. There ain't no unknown. They know right here. El Bay, Day, Al, and Ali are the divine and the ancestor titles of the Moors, the descendants of the Moroccans born in America, the Moorish Americans. But it's like you ain't hearing me, man. You got ears to hear but can't hear. You can hear. We surgical with this studying, brother. The Prophet Noble Drew Ali prepared us to come in with our eyes wide open. Some of you Moors are going to throw away your name just for a morsel of bread. That's what Noble Drew Ali said. And these Moors took the check. These ex-Alis and ex-Bays. He told Coulomb Bogan that the Japanese would attack America in 1941 and that when it happened, Asiatics must not fight for America. He means fight for the United States. Allah said that the Eastern peoples hadn't known that Asiatics lived in America until 60 years ago. Noble Drew Ali said the Moorish Empire stretched all the way across, brothers and sisters. They had commercial trade ports and everything everywhere, brothers and sisters, going back and forth. They just feeding you BS, brothers and sisters. When a Jap mission discovered them, the Japs will be fighting a war of liberation, he said. Coulomb Bogan listened. Soon afterwards, he shed his slave name to become Elijah Muhammad and sometimes Mohammed Rasoul. Miss Coulomb Bogan, who had been born Clara Evans, became Miss Clara Mohammed Rasoul. Bogan's children, they numbered 8, began to shelve such everyday designations as Wali and Pete in favor of Elijah Jr. and Akbar. Mr. Bogan became Allah's #1 prophet in America. With the task of delivering his flock from the white man joke. That already happened, the Roman yoke. That's already happened, brother. Allah, who has been jailed thrice, is not available at the moment. The United States banner colors are explained by Islam's mullahs thus. The blue stands for untruth, and the white represents the white man's complexion, impure. Noble Drew Ali said, white means purity, and purity means God, and God means ruler of the land, brothers and sisters. Red symbolizes justice, but only to the healthy and wealthy, while the stars are governors of the state, which have persecuted Negroes. But we know governors is the code word for a bey, the enforcer of the land, brothers and sisters. The Christian Bible is called that poison book. Negroes, the cult claims, have been taught in the devil's schools from devil's books by the blue-eyed devil himself. All white men are devils, and this existence is the hell you read about in the poison book. Farad Muhammad said that Noble Drew Ali did not have enough knowledge in Islam to keep it going. But the gnosis that Elijah Muhammad has, 19 keys, they can't wake up their own people. But Ali even awoken a pale-skinned devil. You say all white men are devils. That's what Elijah Muhammad says, correct? And that's your following. Behold, this is the curing of the amnesia monster that Noble Drew Ali spoke about. He heals both Asiatic and European mindsets when they're ill. And the proof is a pale-skinned so-called devil standing before you speaking of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice and divine honors the Prophet Noble Drew Ali and the Moorish divine and national movement of the world, Islam. Blue-eyed, pale-skinned devil. The furthest from the sun, the blue ethers of Neptune. which is also the sign of the pitchfork and the cross, the devil. But also the furthest from the sun, so if anyone ever lived there, they wouldn't get as much light and they would be pale, thus the blue-eyed, pale-skinned devil. And it says all nations of the earth in these modern days are seeking peace, but there is but one true and divine way that peace may be obtained in these days, and it is through love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, being taught universally to all nations in all lands. When the Japanese attack America, they will drop bombs that penetrate a mile into the earth. And Noble Drew Ali spoke, you better have a basement, and destroy everything in a 50-mile radius. Noble Drew Ali was speaking about bombs that can hit you real close to your feet and everything, GPS and all that, before you ever heard of it. So NOI had different things like the Mother Circle, talking about, the alien terrestrial vehicles, the ATVs or whatever. So NOI does have special information that even Moors didn't have, because they infiltrated so early and got a lot of the information from Noble Drew Ali speaking about Zeppelins. And now NASA's using Zeppelins in space because the helium, all they have to use is lower power to propel, because they're using helium to float instead of lift. The whole continent will be set afire, but true believers will be carried to a safe place. Noble Drew Ali said he was going to be the water through the fire. You hear that, 19 Keys? Noble Drew Ali was supposed to be the water through the fire. What happened to this 20 million? The project that NOI had in Chicago, supposed to cover 2 city blocks. Where's that at, 19 Keys? In one of Elijah Muhammad's issues, it contained advertisements for special holy sand or spiritualistic devices, like some Peter Popoff bullshit. 19 Keys. And then the dark races will make a new world. Male members refuse to register for the draft on the grounds they are registered only with Islam. And a lot of the newspaper clippings I seen, even up to 1943 to 45, they were still speaking of Moorish being attacked. So as far as going into the draft, if they were seeing papers that they was actually going to join an army to fight against, in the paper they was being called Moorish renegades. So I don't know, brothers and sisters. As represented by the prophet, Brother Bogan, so he was calling himself a prophet too. The wife of one brother charges that so binding is this registration that her husband repeatedly gave up most of his salary to one of Allah's earthly minions. When asked why her husband didn't quit the cult, she told officers that if he did, he wouldn't be alive in 2 weeks. Caveat emptor. NOI, Elijah Muhammad, all of them, traitors and robbers. Repeatedly gave up most of his salary to one of Allah's earthly minions. But see, as far as Noble Drew Ali, if Noble Drew Ali was here right now, a lot of you, almost all of us, would sell everything we had to get to Chicago to go see the prophet. So why ain't we moving like that now? If the prophet was walking on these days and times, everything, any finance I had, anything I had will be given right to the prophet. So at them end of the days when the prophet, like he used to put buckets outside the door of the temples for people to put, finance in. So I could only imagine, them nights that he came to them buckets, man, and they was empty, bro. He knew that his flock went astray and they would not listen except for the edge of a scimitar or sword, brothers and sisters. Ain't nothing really else to say about these traitors and robbers. All I'm saying is you flash your face on YouTube, you got the audacity to flash your face. All you traitors that run with them and support them after seeing this, destruction is sure to come. Allah guides the movement.